Hey everybody, it's your friend Dominic. Long time no see. I know it's been a hot second since I've released a YouTube video, but this is my formal return back to the platform. Ever since I was younger, I've always wanted to have my own fishing show. So here it is. A lot has been going on over the past year. I've missed the YouTube community and a lot of big stuff has happened. And I'll be sure to fill you in before we get into the nitty-gritty of this video, where I will be sharing with you a thing or two about flat-sided crankbaits that I have learned this spring. Stay tuned. I know you're going to enjoy it. So the last time I put out a YouTube video was in the late winter of 2022. It's been quite some time. Back then, I shared how happy and proud I was to get on track with my career. For those who don't know, I'm a therapist. I specifically work with substance abuse people and domestic violence treatment. I love my job. I'm not complaining about my job, but when I started working there and I was trying to do the YouTube, it was hard to manage a lot of the things I had going on, not only with life, my career, and just fishing to fish and learn as much as I can. YouTube kind of got put on the back burner for a little bit. And then I lost my GoPro in July of 22. Things happened. I thought I could find it and I just kept delaying and putting it off. And then I was going through this artistic renaissance, if you will. What do I want to make my channel to be? Well, after talking to a good friend of mine recently, he shared with me why he liked my videos. And he was telling me how he likes watching up north guys like me talk about fishing stuff and getting straight to it. No crazy ads, no crazy gimmicks, just fishing stuff, fishing tips, and generally the culture we find ourselves within fishing. My job's been going really good to me. I'm done with school now. And in a really big non-fishing relating announcement, I am recently engaged. Her name is Sarah, and I'm just head over heels for her. We're getting married next year in the fall. I'm very excited for it. She genuinely makes me a better person, and she supports me and contributes to my efforts when it comes to fishing. She's very understanding, and you don't find a person like that often, for how much tackle I have and how much I actually try to get out on the water. And with my formal return back to YouTube, she got me a camera so I can get some cool action shots out on the water. Right now, I'm recording this on my phone, and I've been fishing so much, and I've been doing so much fishing I never thought I'd get the chance to do. Back in January, I was catching really big lake trout. Last summer, we went up in northern Canada. We caught dozens and dozens of walleyes. And just a few weeks ago, I was over in England with Sarah, and I was carp fishing outside of a castle in a pool that was dug out by monks 800 years ago. I never thought I would be in that position to even think about doing anything like that. But it's really mind-blowing when you think about how life goes on, and so many unexpected great things can happen to people who just trust the process and grind it out and enjoy the ride. Since I came back, I've been fishing my butt off. And you know me, I'm really into bass fishing, and that inspired my theme and idea for this video, making the return. And coming up into the pre-spawn in the cold water, I was smallmouth bass fishing quite a bit. And I was largemouth fishing a bit too, but I was bass fishing my butt off. I was doing as much as I could on any body of water I could. Throwing the flat-sided cranks out on my lake. I was getting largemouth here and there with them, but where these baits really started to shine for me and really pick my confidence up with them was with smallmouth bass. Now, if you don't bass fish a ton, I'm going to give you a rundown from the beginning of the season, what to look for with these baits, what to use, when to use them, and how to make them really pay off for you. So in the springtime, when the water begins to warm up, bass anglers tend to throw a small variety of different baits a lot of the times. A lot of the times people start the seasons off by throwing a jerk bait. For the longest time, and I still am a really big square bill guy, but square bills work very, very well in pre-spawn conditions as well. But here's the thing. Earlier this spring, I was struggling a little bit. I'd get follows up to the boat. I'd go out for days where they would, either barely hook themselves or seem to shake it off. So I was in a really unique position to fish for smallmouth bass, and I had a hunch. And, I had a little bit of a drive as well to up my game as far as fishing with the flat-sided crankbait. And that's what I want to make today's video about. There are a variety of flat-sided cranks out on the market. This here is the Rapala OG Slim in the Ott's Garage series. This was a really good color for me this year. My best color, I unfortunately snagged on a rock, and it is no longer with us. It is in crankbait heaven. Another good one I've used, not only this spring, but also last spring when I was really starting to pique my interest in flat-sided crankbaits, was the Berkley Fritz side. Now, this is a really nice bait. They come in sizes from 2 inches to almost 3 inches, and weights ranging from 1/4 ounce to 1/2 ounce, and diving depths down to 5 feet down to 10 feet. I also have this other flat-sided crankbait. This is a Lucky Craft. It looks really good. I haven't fished with it yet. Shout out to my buddy Mike for giving me this. It looks like a good bait. I just haven't used it yet. You're the man, Mike. Flat-sided crankbaits work very well throughout the year, but they shine the brightest in colder water, whether that be in the pre-spawn, in the springtime, or in the fall. Now, why does a bait shine brightest in certain times of the year? Well, a lot of it comes down to how the bass behave with the action of the bait and the water temperature and conditions. So when a flat-sided crankbait is going through the water, it has a very tight wobble. Not super tight, but not wide and loose at all. When you're throwing a square bill, for example, square bills are known for having these big wide bills and these really, really big swimming actions. Sometimes this is just a little too much. And I've learned a thing or two this spring by throwing the square bill and getting follows and figuring out the calculation to triggering a fish into biting. When I've been throwing these flat-sided cranks, I've learned a few things. They not only shine best in the cooler water based on their action, but when there are pressured fish that see a lot of different baits, like finesse presentations, different cranks, flat-sided, I don't know what it does. It's just the action. It throws them for a loop. And a lot of people know that throughout the history of smallmouth bass fishing and baits as a whole, flat sides, tighter action, smallmouth, candy for sure. Pressured fish, earlier this spring, I was throwing the Ned, I was throwing the drop shot a little bit. I was playing around with a few different things. And, I was catching them. But what really lit a fire under their tail was burning a flat-sided around them. And this bait not only works well with cold water, pressured fish, it fishes really well around structure. And whether it be above timber, bouncing it off of rocks, working the current, flat-sided crankbait can put you in a successful position in a lot of places, especially, and this is one of my personal secrets, with smallmouth particularly, current and flat-sided crankbaits. They work very, very well. What I like about these Rapala OG Slims, they have a little bit larger hooks. I believe these are size 3 treble hooks. They've got these nice rounded points to them. And there are a lot of different really cool color patterns that Rapala has for this Ott's Garage series bait. Another flat-sided crank I like, this is a size 9 Fritz side by Berkley. It's got a really tight action, really nice, can't resist shake to it. It drives the fish mad. This one has a little bit of a bigger bill. This one dives down to 10 feet. This was the one that really got me into them last year. When a lot of my friends were going out and they were struggling with catching a couple, I was getting quality bites with this exact bait right here. They can't seem to turn down a flat-sided crankbait. Now I've got a couple of rods sitting right here on my lap. What I want you to know about the flat-sided crankbait is that just about any power fishing outfit will work for you. You don't want to go too stiff, but you really don't want to be fishing medium lights or anything like that. No frogging rods, no panfish rods. Anything in between, by all means, you're good. Some people like to use parabolic rods. This is an Abu Garcia Ike series. It's a glass rod. I like throwing this rod a lot. When they're coming up, hitting it and turning, it gives me an extra opportunity for the fish to suck the bait in a little bit more. And with the delay of that rod, I can reel into them and catch them that way. What else I have here? A moderate power, medium action graphite rod. This is my go-to cranking setup. This is a 5.4 to 1 Abu Garcia Revo X. I caught a lot with this one. This works very well. When I am trying to fish this bait really aggressively and maybe around structure, and I need to sometimes give them a little bit of beans, if you know what I'm talking about, I have my medium heavy Swait Black Label Brigade with 12-pound copolymer. You could use mono, you can use fluorocarbon, you could use a copolymer, whatever solid line you got works very, very well. I haven't tried it with braid, but I really don't see necessarily the benefits of cranking this with a braid, but if that's what you want to do, you know, go for it. I'm not going to stop you. I like using the 12-pound on my medium heavy outfit when I'm bouncing this off of rocks, working structure, and sometimes I got to give the fish a little bit of muscle. With the Vendetta I just showed you recently, that's a 10-pound. If my structure I'm fishing and the area I'm fishing is a little bit lighter, that operation works good for me. Generally speaking, you're going to be wanting a 10, a 12, or a 14, all depending on your strengths and what you feel comfortable with. And, you know, some rods cast different line diameters better. I'll affix a fast snap to it, put this bait on there, and I'll cast it out. And I'll play with my retrieve. But when these fish are schooling up, they're doing their pre-spawn springtime groove, what I do with the flat-sided crank, I'll play with my retrieves. I'll either do a straight reel, or I'll do a straight reel and the occasional pause. Sometimes I'll sweep it. The fish will tell you really quickly, if they're there, what they want and how they want to eat it. When I was on Lake Huron earlier this year, I was doing a straight reel, I was pausing it, I was sweeping it. They were there and they were hungry. And this was something that helped me catch almost double the fish compared to some of my. And I know I've been talking a lot about how smallmouth are magnets to flat-sided crankbaits, but largemouth get down with them too. I'll be throwing this smaller size 7 Fritz side off of ledges, fishing it over grass, ripping it off of the top of grass, and I've gotten very quality bites with this kind of bait when it's rather challenging. Say it's summertime, the bait's schooled up, maybe they've been conditioned to seeing a lot of different baits. The action from a flat side just gets them going. I don't exactly know what it is. It's not too aggressive, but it's not really subtle. It's definitely coming through, and they see that and they get a really good opportunity to look at that bait coming through the water, and they come up and they go for it. So whether it be largemouth, smallmouth bass, I'm sure spotted bass also love a flat-sided crank. But hey, whatever works for you. Keep a rotation of different baits in your box. And when you are faced in conditions, when the water's cold, if it's kind of pressured, if you're working around structure, and especially if there's current, a flat-sided crankbait always, and I mean always, has a spot in my tackle box. So, in conclusion and closing this video, it's good to be back. I'm really happy to make the time and know my efforts going into creating YouTube videos. And there are a lot of good things in the works, not just only in life, but especially with flat-sided crankbaits. If this isn't anything you've tried or you're not 100% sure, find one that runs at an appropriate depth for where you're fishing, make contact with the structure, and hang on tight, because sooner or later you're going to be setting a hook. So I suppose we can call that the end of this video. I hope everybody likes what I got going on with the space down here in the corner of the basement. Thank you very much for tuning in. You know the deal. Only if you want to. Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. If you have any suggestions for flat-sided cranks or any baits I should check out. Let me know. I would love to hear them. But until next time, thanks for tuning in. People of YouTube, I want to say this from the bottom of my heart. It's great to be back. I missed you all. You be sure to have a great one. Bye-bye.